join me as I show you 5 items you can successfully recycle on your allotment. The last item may actually surprise you. Be it an allotment, a garden or some other form of growing space, these 5 tips could really help you. Now, when it comes to waste, we all produce an awful amount of waste, much of which goes to landfill. And when you see the pictures of the landfill sites, it really is depressing how much is actually wasted. Now, for us, we like to recycle as much as possible, but there's also an upside to recycling, and that is costs. Now, when we took on our allotment, there was an awful lot of waste here. The ground was absolutely covered in tons and tons of rubbish, from jewellery boxes, small little plastic jewellery boxes, to old plastic, to actually plastic that was buried several foot under the ground. It really has been a nightmare, and I know many of you here in the UK are in the same predicament. But sometimes one man's rubbish is another man's treasure. We managed to find wood and battens and things like that when we were sorting out our plot, which we managed to dry out in our shed. We all need to be more responsible with what rubbish we actually produce, and being able to reuse it, even if it's for just a couple of seasons, will really benefit the local landfill sites. Now, my first recyclable item is pallets. Pallets can create so many opportunities. Some of the things it can be used for is anything from a fence line, if it's something that you wanted to do, to making compost bays, keeping it a little bit tidier. So even this is our polytunnel. Well, one of our polytunnels. This polytunnel has got a pallet bottom all the way around, giving it some extra weight. This has massively helped us keep the costs down for actually having a large polytunnel on our allotment. It's nice and heavy, so it's not going anywhere. And considering these pallets didn't cost us anything, it really was a great deal. Now, pallets, there are certain pallets that you don't want to be using, and you do need to make sure that it is only heat treated. There's a lot of nasty ones out there that have certain chemicals in that you really don't want leaching into your soil. But there is plenty of pallets out there that people give away for free. So take the opportunity and let your creativity fly, because pallets really are something very useful on your allotment. Number 2, I think the most important recyclable material that you can do on your allotment is kitchen food waste. When I say kitchen scraps, I mean basically your uncooked fruits and vegetable scraps, maybe the odd eggshell or two, anything that's organic and hasn't been cooked. Because if you add anything else to your pile, you will easily and very quickly get rats. Rats can be a major issue, but sticking to raw, fresh ingredients often reduces this. Now, the biggest expense for most people who want to grow their own food is compost. And you see it a lot where a lot of people will buy in an awful lot of compost each year to top up on their beds. Making your own compost will save you so much money in the long run. Giving it time to mature, this will be perfect for your veg beds. Now, in this pile, it is predominantly straw and chicken poop and bedding, with added little bits of vegetable matter in here. It's quite amazing how quickly you'll actually gather this kind of things from your own kitchen home. Obviously, as you go through your growing year, you will get more greens from your allotment and more browns, for anything from the stems to the leaves that you can collect. It really is a free resource. Yes, it takes time, and yes, it takes a little bit of energy. You can make it as easy or as hard as you want to. Now, for us, this has saved us probably hundreds, if not more, in money when it comes to our plot. Now, we have multiple different piles on our allotment because we really do compost quite heavily. But given the time and the space, for me, it is definitely a win-win on this recycling tip. Now, this tip is an oldie but a goodie, and you have probably seen it plenty of times before, and it is plastic bottles. This is my trusty milk carton. We go through a lot of milk a week here at our home. Cutting this along the line here, leaving the handle intact will create a hinge. the perfect place to start some of the more tender seeds this year. It's like a little mini greenhouse. Just make sure that you put holes in the bottom. Now you can also create these into planters for plants, and it can easily be hung up on your fence line or a shed or some other building. They grow really quite well. But remember, this kind of thing does perish. So if you get 2 years out of this, you'll be quite lucky. But it is something that you can then just put straight back into the recycling. So getting a year or two out of this is actually quite good for the environment, instead of it being a single-use piece of plastic. Now, another great plastic bottle is these kind of bottles and the smaller serving size. They're great to actually drip water into your pots. Pots are really renowned for actually drying out super quick. Using one of these with just a small hole, maybe two, you'd have to test it upside down in your pot under the soil. This will actually drip water directly to the roots. But be warned, it does take a little bit of trial and error to make sure that you've got the holes right. The last thing you want is to drown that poor plant. How many different things have you created with the use of plastic bottles? And when it comes to plastic as well, there is definitely many different forms. This is an empty feed bag. Now, it's really amazing how quickly we go through chicken feed. This year, I'm going to be trying something different. I'm going to be popping some holes in here, rolling down the top and popping soil in here. There's a lot of times that I need much larger pots just to grow certain things, especially for my chilies this year. And this year I'm actually going to trial whether I can grow chilies in these bags. Now obviously I'm not going to fill the whole bag just for a chili. We don't need that amount of soil. But around about 15 litres is something I want to try for some of my bigger chili plants. I think it may topple, so I'm just going to build a little wooden structure to go around it like a little ring, just to support it and to stop it tipping over. But this is a great way to reuse these bags. And you never know, I might get a couple of seasons out of it. Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, this goes to landfill. This is not recyclable. So this kind of plastic I am really keen to try and reuse, because we have an awful lot of these bags. Now another one that you can gather for free, especially in the autumn months, and that is leaves. Leaves are a great benefit to your allotment. But I'm going to focus on leaves as providing a really healthy mulch, covering your soil through the winter months, allowing less weeds to come through, and giving all this organic matter eventually back to your soil. It really is a win-win, and it's completely free. Just takes a little bit of your time. You can also rot these down in, say, a leaf litter bin or some little area that you can keep them wet. These will mulch down and it will give you the most fantastic loam. Leaf mould is absolutely fantastic for growing seedlings in or adding it to your compost. It really is a benefit. Recycling these leaves and adding to your plot, again, is just another win-win. Now my last one, which is probably really quite surprising to most growers out there, and it is trampoline hoops. Trampoline hoops are absolutely amazing for building structures on your plot. We used trampoline parts to actually create our polytunnels. It really has made a massive difference. And the great thing about this is you can get them free majority of the time on different forums. Facebook Marketplace was the place that we found so many trampoline parts. The only downside is that you normally have to take them apart. But using trampoline parts is the ultimate recycling project. These will be here for so long. And using the pallets that we have on the bottom, this is a fantastic project to try. The only thing that we bought was some of the battens that went across the top, but some of them were actually recycled from other projects. And obviously they're plastic. Now you could probably reuse some polytunnel plastic if you have it or you manage to find it locally. but we did spend a little bit more money on some really good quality polytunnel cover because we want this building to last. Now, this was built at the beginning of last year and we had a great harvest in here. It works really, really well. But the trampoline poles aren't just for a roof for your polytunnel. You can grow fantastic growing arches much, much stronger than those flimsy things you can buy in shops. This I could actually hang off with no bending whatsoever. We managed to find recycled chicken wire from somebody who was getting rid of it. This is an old piece of wood that we had from a previous project that we took apart and reused. These long bits here are off the trampoline netting, and then obviously we've got the hoops. So the only thing that this cost us was screws. That is it. Everything else we already had. This is a great space to grow our squashes up or anything else that we want to grow through the season. To get this kind of strength and to get this size of arch would have cost you an awful lot of money. Is it ornate? Is it really stunningly beautiful? No, but it looks absolutely beautiful throughout the whole of the growing season. So it's not just the hoops that you can recycle off a trampoline part. You have got the net parts as well. We even use the legs. These are used to keep the netting up and over our beds, just so that netting doesn't touch the plants. We can actually make these higher with additional poles, again from that normal netting bit that you get around the trampoline. So we can go as high as what we need to go. Again, this is a great benefit, and in my eyes, a great way to recycle. And we even made a mini growing arch. This is great for something that likes to scramble. Again, all trampoline parts or bits of old chicken wire that we either had left over or we found for free. This we've used to grow squashes and different things like that before, something that doesn't like to be on the ground. Again, another great trampoline project. And it's not just the polytunnels or the arches that I've managed to do out of trampoline parts. It is my chicken run too. This has given us a much stronger run than if I'd used some of those flimsy poles that you can buy, like the walk-in runs. This time of year, I would love to free range my chickens, but with the bird flu outbreak, this building has given us the opportunity to actually keep our chickens safe. By using the pallets and the trampoline hoops, this has given them a really nice area to go. And the thing is with this, you can extend this as however long you want. And of course, trampolines come in many different sizes. So again, you can either go as small or as big as what the trampoline parts allow. By using these 5 items here on our plot, we have managed to keep 1, costs down, and 2, recycle and give us some amazing spaces to grow throughout the whole of the season. Being creative and adding your own touch of personality is a great way to use these items. It doesn't have to look like a junkyard. You can create something beautiful and something amazing for your space. By doing these, you never know who you may inspire next, giving them the opportunity to recycle and reuse old products, and obviously saving £1 or 2. Thanks for joining me today. And if there's anything that you have recycled that you think I should know about, let me know in the comments. I want to see loads of comments on this because I think there is so many ways to recycle on your allotment. Maybe as a community we can inspire more and more people to use recycled materials on your plots. And if those polytunnels have piqued your interest, you can follow along on how we built those here.